How are you doing
Hello, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good enough. Is me. You ready to have
Glad to
another
hear that.
Bible study session?
I'm ready.
All right. So I hope everybody else is ready. Um, so the last time we were reading, and we had a very good time going through the first part of Judges, went to chapter 1 to 5, and we left off at the song that Deborah and
Barak.
Barak were singing, right? And true to form, Deborah had mentioned that in the victory that was going to be given to Israel, the honors would go to the woman. He would have to share his honors with a woman because he had asked her to go with him, even though God commanded. And so, chapter 5 was just the worst, it was just a victory song. And sure enough, in the victory song, um, a good part of it was dedicated towards the woman who actually helped to slay, to overthrow the enemy, right?
That would
So
be Jael, right? If I
would be
remember correctly. Yeah.
yes, yes. So today we are going, we're moving on in Judges, and today we're going to look at one of the more well-known figures in the book of Judges, right? You know who
Gideon.
that is? Yes, Gideon.
Gideon.
Right. So we're starting at chapter 6 with Gideon. Before we start, I just wanted to say I want to pray. I want to pray for us, lady.
Okay, sure. All right, let's pray. Eternal God, thank you for this opportunity to come again to study your words, Father. As we are about to dive into Judges 6 through to 8, I pray, Lord, that you will grant us understanding and also those who will join us on this live today. Father, thank you for your blessings and whatever we fail to ask, fail not to grant it according to your will. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right. Cool.
All right.
Cool. Cool. So we're looking at um the chapter 6, Judges chapter 6. That's where we're starting our first story, right? Now, this chapter 6, basically a summary of the book of Judges. Judges chapter 6 is that it starts out with um, Israel being oppressed because after the death of Barak and Deborah, obviously, true to form, the Israelites forget God, right? And after they
As
forget
usual,
as usual, right? After they forget God, they go down into deep apostasy. Apostasy meaning that they start to do idol worship. They start um to sacrifice to the gods of the people around them. They start to worship one god in particular, Baal. They
hi
build
Nedel. Hi Nedel, cause someone is saying hi, so I just want to acknowledge them. Hi, I really can't pronounce your name, but hi, welcome and thank you for joining.
yes, welcome and thank you very much for joining. Right, and so after that now, while so they're being oppressed and then God sends a prophet to basically reproach them, right? Um, and tell them why they're being oppressed, right? And then after that, he says that he's going to deliver them. So he sends a judge, Gideon, and Gideon, when he confronts Gideon, Gideon is doing what he does best, but he's doing it under in doing it in private, in secret, right? So he's threshing wheat. And God approaches him and says, look, Gideon, I needed to do this work for me, right? And then the story unfolds from there. So we're going to read because I don't want to spill all the beans in the first 5 minutes, right? In the summary, we're going to go through the book of Judges, chapter 6 through 8, because this Gideon's story lasts for all of 3 chapters, right? So we start out, it says, and the children of Israel did evil in the sight of God. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of Midian for 7 years. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel. And because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens which are in the mountains and caves and strongholds. And so it was when Israel had sown that the Midianites came up, and the children of the east, even they came up against them. And they encamped against them and destroyed the increase of the earth till thou come unto Gaza. and left no sustenance for Israel, neither sheep nor ox nor ass. Right? So when it talks about increase of the earth, it's talking about all the crops that they have planted. For they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for multitude, for both they and their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it. Hi, baby Saja. And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and the children of Israel cried unto the Lord. And it came to pass, when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord because of the Midianites, that the Lord sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt and brought you forth out of the house of bondage. And I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, and drave them out before you and gave you their land. And I said unto you, I am the Lord your God. Fear not for the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell, but ye have not obeyed my voice. And there came an angel of the Lord and sat under an oak which was in Ophrah, that pertained unto Joash the Abiezrite. And his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. So what we see here happening is that um, the Israelites started out being oppressed by the Midianites, and the oppression got so bad that the Midianites were basically allowing them to plant and then just reaping the crops, right? They were taking their animals, so they didn't have meat, right? And so the Israelites were basically starving, right? And then God said, the reason why this is happening to you is because I did all the work for you, and then you have attributed the glory, the honor, the worship to you have given it, taking it and giving it to the other gods. So basically, God is showing them, through sign what they have been doing to him, right? And
And
so,
I'm just looking at it like in verse 8 to 9,
mhm,
it's almost a reintroduction of God to them again. And we see this happening over and over in Judges, where the Israelites fall into sin and God comes in clutch, as young people would say, but he reintroduces himself to them and say, I am your Lord. I'm the one who delivered you. This is me. So, I just wanted to know that.
all right. So that's a very good point, Zayden. No, it's not church, baby Saja. We're
It's
just
it,
we're doing the book. We're going through the book of Judges, so we're just looking at the themes that are in the book of Judges, and we're on Judges chapter 6, and then we're going to go to Judges chapter 8. So Judges chapter 6 to 8 it talks about the story of Gideon, right? So that's what we're looking at. So um, so it says the angel of the
so we're
Lord.
at 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the angel of the Lord sat under the oak tree which was in Ophrah, that pertained unto Joash the Abiezrite, and his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befalling us? And where be all his miracles which our fathers told us of, saying, Did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But
I want to
now,
talk about this, Odine. Like, do you think it's fair for Gideon to be questioning the angel?
did I freeze or did you freeze?
Sorry, I got bumped off. Yeah. So where did I drop off?
You're asking if it's fair.
Yeah, like is it fair for him to be questioning an angel? Like he's like, where was this God basically? And do you think that's a fair question to ask?
Well, you know what? Gideon is asking the question because um, he doesn't understand the context in which the oppression is taking place, right? So he's saying, basically, he's saying, I'm a good person. Why am I suffering? Because even though I'm a good person, because in their concept, in the context that he's talking, you know, he's good enough to not have to suffer the ill effects of God's punishment, right? That is how he's viewing it. And that's why, so he's saying, our fathers told us about this God who brought us out from Egypt. So why did this
Right.
God leave us? Why did God leave us? Right?
Right.
And why are the Midianites overlords over us, basically? I mean, we didn't do anything to deserve this, is what he's saying, right?
And I feel like he's also saying, like, if you are our God and you
Mhm.
keep on reminding us that you are our God and you did all of these things for
Mhm. Right,
us, dope. So
right,
I feel like that is what he's asking. But the
right.
truth is they sinned against God and that is why they were in bondage. So
And you know what? Gideon is no, she's back.
I'm back.
Can you see her? Is she moving clear for you, baby Saja? All right. So Gideon is not seeing the big picture, right? Based
Yeah.
on his question, and God is going to actually reveal to him why Israel is in this predicament. And you're going to see that at the end of this story, that Gideon has a first hand experience of why Israel is in the situation that it is in. All right, look at this. So the Lord looked at him and said, we're at verse 14. The Lord looked upon him and said, go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee? And he
Mm-hmm.
said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my
My
family is
family's
poor
poor.
in Manasseh,
Mm-hmm.
and I am the least in my father's house. And the Lord said unto him, surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. And he said unto him, if now I have found grace in thy sight, and bring forth my present and set it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again. And Gideon went in and made ready a kid and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour. The flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak, and presented it.
Presented it.
And the angel of God said unto him, take the flesh of the unleavened bread, and lay them upon this rock, and pour out the broth. And he did so. Then the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh of the unleavened cakes. And there rose up fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh of the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Lord departed out of his sight. And Gideon perceived that he was an angel of the Lord. Gideon said, alas, O Lord God, for because I have seen an angel of the Lord face to face. And the Lord said unto him, peace be unto thee, fear not, thou shalt not die. Now, I read this story, and one of the things that jumped out to me is that Gideon goes in, right? And he
Mm-hmm.
makes food for this person from scratch, right? Takes he said the Bible said he takes flour and he
Mm-hmm.
made cakes for the man. Not only did he make cakes, he made the broth from scratch. That must have taken some time,
It would
right?
have taken some time, yeah.
Yeah. And when he brought it out, the angel poured it out and burned it up.
It was a sacrifice.
He poured it out on the rocks and burnt it up.
It was a sacrifice.
I mean, it was a sacrifice, but um, I would have been a little bit perturbed. I mean, like all that time and effort.
I prepared this for you and you burn it up, right?
but it did prove the point that he was an angel, and so Gideon realized right away that he was dealing with supernatural power at that point, right? And so,
And that is why he feared that he would die. Because
right,
he recognized that in that moment. Yeah.
right, and so this is where the name Jehovah Shalom comes about, because it says, then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord and called it Jehovah Shalom. Unto this day, it is yet in Orpha of the Abiezrites. And it came to pass that same night that the Lord said unto him, take thy father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years old, and throw down the altar of Baal that thy father has, and cut down the grove that is by it, and build an altar unto the Lord thy God upon the top of this rock in the ordered place, and take the second bullock and offer a burnt sacrifice with the wood of the grove, which thou shalt cut down. Then Gideon took 10 men out of his servants and did as the Lord had said unto him. So it was because he feared his father's household and the men of the city that he could not do it by day, that he did it
Did
by
it by
night.
night. Mm-hmm.
So, um, when I read this, I'm getting the impression that, all right, to drive home that point, I'm getting an impression here, but I'm going to finish reading the rest of this, and then
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna
Make
we're
the
gonna
points.
yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
so verse 28, and when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down, and the grove was cut down that was by it, and the second bullock was offered upon the altar that was built, right? And they said one to another, who has done this thing? And when they inquired and asked, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, has done this thing. Then the men of the city said unto Joash, bring out thy son that he may die, because he had cast down the altar of Baal, and because he had cut down the grove that was by it. And Joash said unto all that stood against him, will ye lead for Baal? Will he
Plead.
save? Sorry, will he plead for Baal? Will he save him? He that will plead for him, let him be put to death whilst it is yet morning. If he be God, let him plead for himself, because one hath cast down his altar. All right. So I'm going to pause there for dramatic effect. All right. So the altar and the grove belong to Gideon's father, right? But
Which indicates something to us.
right, based on this, all the men of the city worship Baal at this altar and in this grove. So what that tells me
Correct.
is that his father was some sort of priest of
Mm-hmm.
Baal, was some sort of priest of Baal, right? So God, it is interesting to me that God chose the the son of a priest of Baal to deliver Israel on his behalf, right? That's some sort of irony. That
That's interesting.
isn't it interesting,
Mm-hmm.
right? So and then his father, in response to him tearing down the altar and the grove, the men of the city come to exact punishment upon him. His father is like, you know what? If Baal is God, let Baal avenge what has happened to him.
I have
You
a
guys don't have
question.
to intervene.
I have a
Yes.
question. Do you think that um, Gideon's father said that out of belief in Baal or, wisdom to save his son?
Well,
Because do you think that there was some wavering in his heart? Like him didn't know, say,
mhm.
listen, Baal and a real God. But him no wants to them there and then kill his son. So he's like, listen, if Baal be God, then allow Baal to take his revenge.
Well, I think it's twofold actually. Um, I think that he said that in an effort to save um, Gideon from certain death, right? But
Right?
but to me, if he was a true believer in Baal, that's not something that he would have said. He would have just be on the men's side, you know. You know what I'm saying? Because he's God. You know what I'm saying? I believe that Baal's father was probably one of those prosperity preachers. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, the prosper. You build a church because you know that the people are going to come with their offerings. You know, you only need to say the right words at the right time and add some music and it's all good.
And all is well. All
All
right.
is
I
well,
get you. I get you. Yeah.
right? So that's the impression that I'm getting. But regardless of that, he did save Gideon's life,
Gideon. Yeah, he
yeah,
did.
right? Now we're going to verse 32, and verse 32 is a very important verse because it sets a tone, right? Verse 32 says, um, verse 32 says, therefore on
Therefore,
that day he called him Jerubbaal, saying, let Baal plead
plead
against
against
him
him because he
because
has
he has
thrown down
thrown down his
his
altar,
altar.
right?
Which for me, that makes sense to me. Like if someone disrespects God, let the
Mhm.
God, defend himself. That's
Right.
that's
That
just
is
me
true.
logically thinking. So
But even more important though, the name Jerubbaal is actually a judgment against Gideon, right?
mhm,
So he is casting a judgment against Gideon, and the judgment is to be exacted by Baal.
by Baal.
So he's saying,
Okay.
if Baal is a true God, I am casting a judgment. Gideon is guilty of this thing. If Baal is God, let him exact the judgment, right?
On Gideon.
Right.
Hmm.
So that is why he named him Jerubbaal, right?
Okay.
Because it is a, basically saying that Baal has a judgment to exact against him, right? So and so that's why verse 32, Judges 6 verse 32 is so important because it's gonna come out again in the end, right?
Oh, I just looked up the meaning of Jerubbaal. It is what you said, but the exact meaning is let Baal contend or Baal strives, which is exactly what you say. So yeah.
Right. Right. So we're gonna see that name actually coming up again, but we're going to notice something very interesting as we continue to read, and just pay attention. It's gonna come out, all right? So it says, then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together and went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and Abiezer was gathered after him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, who also was gathered after him. And he sent messengers unto Asher, unto Zebulun, unto Naphtali, right? So who
Mm-hmm.
he sent messengers? To Manasseh, Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali. Four tribes, right? Four tribes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Gideon said unto God, if thou
I
wilt
like
save,
this part, by the way.
oh, this the sign, right? And Gideon said unto God, if thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor, and if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said. And it was so, for he rose up early in the morning and thrust the fleece together and wringed the dew out of the fleece, a bowl of water. And Gideon said unto God, let not thine anger be hot against me, and I will speak. But this once, let me prove, I pray thee. Let but this once with the fleece, let it now be dry upon the fleece, and upon all the ground let there be dew. And God did so
So,
that night, for it was dry upon the fleece only, and there was dew upon the ground.
so I have a question. Um, so is it this is what Gideon did, right? Because I don't know if he was doubtful or what right here. So he asked God for a sign. Is this something that people should do? I mean, in your opinion, based on this text? And my question to you also would be, what do you think Gideon's temperament was when he asked this question? Was it one of fear? When it was it just one of, okay, God, I know you're sending me, but I need that further confirmation? What do you think it was?
Happy Sabbath, Donald Ashman.
Happy Sabbath, Donald.
All right, that's a very good question. Was it one of fear or you know? Okay, so remember in the beginning when you said that God was reintroducing Himself to Israel at this point,
Mm-hmm.
right? If somebody is reintroducing themselves to you, right? Do you automatically trust them?
No.
All right. So you want to prove you want them to. you want to establish a relationship of trust, right?
Trust.
And over time,
Correct.
you will grow based on things that happen in the relationship, right? All right. So it's similar to this. Um, God asked Gideon to um, to to do something, to carry out a task, right? But remember that Gideon is coming from a place where he didn't originally have a relationship with God, right? In fact, he knew about God based on what he said because he mentioned earlier that um, God delivered his forefathers from Egypt, right? But
Right. Mm-hmm.
based on based on this, he didn't know as a lot about God. You get what I'm saying? So he wanted to know if he did this thing, would God protect him? You know what I mean?
I think that's a really good answer because, as you said earlier, we saw where, when God called Gideon originally, Gideon was like, okay, God, but where were you?
Right,
When we were in bondage and slavery. So
mhm,
it's a re-establishment of trust. So,
right,
yeah.
right. And I think Donald Ashman was also answering the question. He said both. so so there we have our answer, right? So so Gideon asked God um for signs, and twice he asked him for signs, and
Mhm.
twice um God gave signs. Hi Freya, welcome to our live. All right. So now after God proves himself to Gideon, what do we have?
I guess they're preparing for battle. Gideon is preparing for battle.
All right. Now listen to this. Listen how this starts. Listen how this starts.
Okay.
What's that? My
I'm
hands right.
not I'm not I'm not sure about why that comment was made, but okay.
Okay. All right. All right. So verse chapter 7 starts out by saying, then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, and all the people that were with him rose up early and pitched the well of Harod, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them by the hill of Moreh in the
In the
valley.
valley.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was interesting because it starts out by calling him Jerubbaal,
Right. Well, it
right?
said Jerubbaal, who is Gideon,
Right,
but okay.
right. So Jerubbaal, who is Gideon? All right. So now verse 2. And the Lord said unto Gideon, what you're going to notice is that for the rest of chapter 7, it only refers to him by the name of Gideon. Hi, Zafir. We are studying Judges chapter 6, 7, and
Three
8.
to
We're looking at the
eight.
story of Gideon, right? So if you stick around, you're going to find it quite interesting, actually. So, right. So in the rest of chapter 7, you never hear reference to him as Jerubbaal again. It only refers to him as Gideon, right? So let's continue. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand hath saved me. Now therefore go to saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead. And there returned of the people 20 and 2,000, and there remained 10,000. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people are yet too many. Bring them down unto the water, and I will try them for thee there. And it shall be that of whom I say unto thee, this go with thee, the same shall go with thee. And whoever I say unto thee, this shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. So he brought down the people unto the water, and the Lord said unto Gideon, everyone that lappeth the water with his tongue as a dog lappeth, him shalt thou set by himself. Likewise, everyone that boweth down upon his knees to drink, and the number of them that lappeth, putting their hand to their mouth, were 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink water. And the Lord said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lapped will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into thine hand, and let all the other people go, every man unto his place. This I found this quite interesting because the instructions were very specific. If the person lapped like a dog, those are the ones that would um, be saved. I've never, I don't think I would make it into that number because I've never drank water like that before.
God, what can I say? God is specific.
It's very specific.
He's
And
very, yeah.
that's a very weird way to drink water. And 300 people in Israel drank water
Did
that way.
it. Yeah.
300 people. So that's I wonder how many people would find if we did a survey right now.
Probably none. Probably none. But I
And
think that was the whole point. Like, God wanted to reduce the size of Gideon's army. And we're going to see later on why God wanted to do that. But it was for a very specific reason.
very specific reason. So the people took victuals in their hand and their trumpet, and he sent all the rest of Israel, every man unto his tent, and retained those 300 men. And the host of Midian was beneath him in the valley. And it came to pass the same night that the Lord said unto him, arise, get thee down unto the host, for I have delivered it into thine hand. But if thou fear to go down, go thou with Phurah, thy servant, down to the host, and thou shalt hear what they say. And afterward shall thine hands be strengthened to go down unto the host. Then went he down with Phurah his servant unto the outside of the armed men that were in the host. And the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the children of the east lay along in the valley like grasshoppers for
Grasshoppers.
multitude, and their camels were without number, as the sand of the sea, of the sand of the seaside for multitude.
So, God is a specific God. Like, God knows that Gideon was fearful. And he knew, he literally knew that Gideon was going to need some reassurance. So he created the scenario, he created the situation
Mhm.
for Gideon to have that reassurance. And when I read this, I was like, God is so awesome. Like, he knows our heart and he helps us to get to the place where we need to get to.
Right.
Yeah.
Well said, Donald Ashman. I agree with you as well. All right. But listen, but even though God gave Gideon the reassurance before, this reassurance that he's going to get now is a third reassurance.
It is, yeah.
So not just he didn't just prove himself two times. He proved himself three times to Gideon. And oftentimes when we talk about the story of Gideon, we only talk about those two times. Right? But this one is also important as well because this one was unsolicited. He didn't ask for this. Right? And so when Gideon was come, behold, there was a man that told a dream unto his fellow and said, behold, I dreamed a dream, and lo, a cake of barley bread tumbled into the host of Midian and came unto a tent and smote it, that it fell and overturned it, that the tent lay along. And his fellow answered and said, save the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel. For into his hand hath God delivered Midian and all the host. And it was so, when Gideon heard the telling of the dream and the interpretation thereof, that he worshipped and returned into the host of Israel, and said, arise, for the Lord hath delivered into your hand the host of Midian. Right? Okay.
I'm actually looking at my Bible.
uh, then, to answer the code.
Well, let's continue. But let's continue. It's okay.
But it's funny. Thanks for the heads up, though, Abraham. Good for you. And it was so, all right. And he divided the 300 men into three companies, and he put a trumpet in every man's hand with empty pitchers and lamps within the pitchers. And he said unto them, look on me and do likewise. And behold, when I come to the outside of the camp, it shall be that as I do, so shall ye do. When I blow with a trumpet, I and all that are with me, then blow ye the trumpets also on every side of all the camp, and say, the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. So Gideon and the 100 men that were with him came unto the outside of the camp, and in the beginning of the middle watch, and they had but newly set the watch, and they blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers that were in their hands. So what happened was that the Midianites were changing the night watch, right? So one person's shift had just finished, and the next person was coming on, and the Israelites set up and just started their thing, right? And so they were basically unprepared for this. And so it goes and it says, and the three companies blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers and held the lamps in their left hand and the trumpets in their right hands to blow withal. And they cried, the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. And they stood every man in his place and round about the camp. And all the hosts ran and cried and fled. And 300 blew the trumpets, and the Lord set every man's sword against his fellow, even throughout all the host. And the host fled to Beth Shittah in Zerarath, and to the border of Abel Meholah, unto
Onto
Tabbath.
Tabas. Mm-hmm.
And the men of Israel gathered themselves together out of Naphtali and out of Asher and out of all Manasseh, and pursued after the Midianites. And Gideon sent messengers throughout all Mount Ephraim, saying, come down against the Midianites and take before them into the waters unto Bethbara and Jordan. Then all the men of Ephraim gathered themselves together and took the waters unto Bethbara and Jordan. And they took two princes of the Midianites, Oreb and Zeb, and they slew Oreb upon the rock. Oreb, Oreb and Zeb they slew, and upon the rock Oreb, and Zeb they slew at the winepress of Zeb, and pursued Midian, and brought the heads of Oreb and Zeb to Gideon on the other side of Jordan.
Okay, so
Okay, and we're from Jamaica, Abraham.
I made a note about
Welcome, Abraham. Thanks for shooting us from Jamaica.
oh,
From
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, right?
Okay.
It's nice to meet you. And um, Donald, where are you from? All right, so you're going to say something, Zadie?
Yeah, I was saying, this battle plan that Gideon, got from the Lord. I made a note in my Bible
Mm-hmm.
which says that this reminds me of the saying that you and God equals a majority. So it was just 300 men. And as you read, the army was as the sand by the sea for a multitude. Wali Padem, right? And right here we're seeing that Gideon's army was pretty much, with God's help, was pretty much defeating that huge army. So
But
you, the better and the bigger army. So you and God, majority all the time. And this kind of just reminds me that, no matter what God tells you to do, even though you may look outnumbered, just do it. You might be fearful, but God knows your heart. Just trust him. So yeah.
all right. That is true. That is true. Very profound words there. All right. So so we just finished chapter 7, right?
Mhm.
Okay, Donald is from Jamaica as well. So we have the
Another
Ethiopian,
Jamaican in the house. Nice.
the diaspora is here.
Representing.
All right. So we just finished chapter 7. Now we realize that Gideon got reassurances from God. He got protection from God. He got strength from God, right? And
Mhm.
he overcame the enemy with God's help, right?
Arlene says God always turn your enemy against himself. True.
Because if you realize that in chapter 7 it mentions that the enemy started to kill each other.
Right. Yeah.
So God not only confused the enemy, but he empowered his agents, right, to overcome
Mm-hmm.
them as well. And so I find chapter 7 to be quite interesting. But at the
Same.
beginning of chapter 8, which we're going to segue into now, we find
Mm.
trouble brewing, right?
And we
Abraham,
find the answer to the question that, or what we mentioned earlier when we said, okay, why did God choose only 300 men? So we
right,
kind of find the answer there.
right. So yes, Abraham, I am a teacher, right? Amongst other things. All right, so let's start with chapter 8. So it says, and the men of Ephraim, who did we say were called at the beginning? Wasn't Ephraim one of them?
As in one of the tribes?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes. Abraham says you're a good student, Zadie. All right, so Ephraim was one of the tribes that was called, right? Um, so we have the men of Ephraim accosting Gideon at the beginning of chapter 8. So it says, and the men of Ephraim said unto him, why hast thou served us thus, that thou callest us not when thou wantest to fight with the Midianites? And they
Mm.
did chide him sharply, right? Now I remember distinctly the, him calling Ephraim to as a one of the tribes that fought, right? Don't you remember that happening?
Ephraim?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, not
No,
Ephraim.
it was
It's
Zebulon,
out of Naphtali, Asher, Manasseh.
Manasseh, and Zebulon.
Right, right.
No,
Okay.
Manasseh, Asher, Naphtali. Yeah.
So Ephraim confronts him because Ephraim wanted to be a part of the
The action. They wanted to be involved,
and
apparently.
so they were upset that they weren't consulted when the war was about to start, right? And so they started to chide him, and he said unto them, what have I done now in comparison of you? Is not the gleaning of the grapes of Ephraim better than the vintage of Abiezer? Right? God hath delivered into your hands the princes of Midian, Oreb and Zeb, because you remember at the end of chapter 7, it was Ephraim that killed
Right.
Oreb and Zeb, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was I able to do in comparison of you? Then their anger was abated toward him when he had
And
said,
I made a note here beside this chapter, and I said, a soft answer turneth away wrath. Because they pretty much attacked Gideon, they're like, yo, why you never call we, And I think this is the reason why God only chose 300 men,
"Mhm,
because these persons would want to take the glory for themselves. So I
right,
think this is a big part of the reason why God chose so few men to accomplish his will.
that is correct. That is correct.
Hmm.
Abraham says you need to stop watching TikToks.
Abraham said, I'm watching TikTok. Okay. Oh boy. Can't win with Abraham, right?
All right, all right. So, um,
So we're at chapter 8.
4, sorry, verse 4, right? Chapter 8, verse 4. And Gideon came to Jordan and passed over, he and the 300 men that were with him, faint, yet pursuing them. And he said unto the men of Succoth, give, I pray you, loaves of bread unto the people that follow me. For they be faint, and I am pursuing after Zebah and Zalmunna, kings of
And this
Midian.
makes sense. It makes sense. I'm sorry to cut you, but this makes sense that they're faint because they just fought a battle. So them tired and them hungry. You understand? They're not like superheroes. Here we go.
I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you were.
Where were we? Oh, they were hungry. They just fought a war, so they're hungry.
Mm, right, right, right. All right. So we're at verse 6. All right. So, and the princes of Sukkot said, "Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna now in thine hand, that we should give bread unto thine enemy?" And Gideon said, "Therefore, when the Lord hath delivered Zebah and Zalmunna into mine hand, then I will tear your flesh with the thorns of the wilderness and with briars." And he went up thence to Penuel and spake unto them likewise. And the men of Penuel answered him, as the men of Succoth had answered him. And he spake also unto the men of Penuel, saying, "When I come again in peace, I will break down this tower." Now Zebah and Zalmunna were at Karkor, and their hosts with them, about 15,000 men, all that were left of all the hosts of the children of the east. For there fell 120,000 men that drew sword. I'm going to pause there for dramatic effect. 300 men killed over 120,000 men.
Yeah.
Wow.
You and God equals a majority.
Wow. That's and that this is before AI. This is before tanks. This
Yeah.
is before rocket launchers and
All
AK-47.
of these things.
This is with sword and shield and probably one and two stones. Yeah.
I mean, but the fact is, none of these things can compare to God. So it's always good to be on the right side, and that's the side that God is on.
Always, always, always. All right. So it says, and Gideon went up by the way of them that dwelt in the tents of the east of Nobah and Jogbeha, and smote
Hold
the
on
host.
though. Hold on though. Um,
Yes,
this
Donald.
whole this
Egyptians
whole
were beside them.
this whole asking these people for food
Mm-hmm.
and them refusing. What are your thoughts on that? Because I mean, put yourself in the position of the persons who were asked to feed this group of men. What would you do? And do you think that their response was warranted, judging by the climate that existed there and then?
All right. That's a good question. Abraham, we're gonna do the Ethiopian eunuch next. That's what we're gonna do. Just for you. But that's a good question. When you mentioned that, Zadian, you know what came to mind? Matthew 25,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in it, Jesus was talking to the people, and he said that he was given a parable. And in that parable, it mentions one part it mentioned was that um, when I was hungry, you fed me.
Mm-hmm.
When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was in prison, you visited me, right? And so basically, it is saying, basically, the parable was saying that, listen, these are the people that God calls his children, the people who show compassion to those that are needy, right? These men that refused to serve, to feed them, were men who knew that the oppression was wrong. They could see that the oppressed had the upper hand, but they looked at the size of the crowd and decided that the men who had more were more important to serve. And so what they were doing was that they were pandering for the likes of those who seemed to have the power of the day, right?
The likely victor.
Right. And so they looked at the size of the crowd and they said, if that man wins and I help, and he comes back and sees that I've helped this man, he's going to come and he's going to put on me a beating. So I'm not going to help this man so that I can be in the light and grace of this other man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. You're off screen. I don't know what's happening.
Am I back?
Can only see no, I only see me.
I'm not sure. I keep on getting kicked off. I'm not sure, but
I mean I can hear you, but I'm not seeing you. Your video's gone. So my name is OJ Abraham, and her name is
and
Z.
I'm seeing.
right?
Let me rejoin. Keep
Right,
going up. Keep going, OJ.
right. So what happened was that they wanted to they were basically pandering for likes, right? And they didn't want to help the Israelites because um they wanted to be in the good graces of the Midianites, right? But they could see
Okay.
that the Israelites needed it, right? Okay, so
Right. So
Abraham says he can see you.
okay, great. So it's like they looked at the size of the army. They did, an assessment and say, you know what, more than likely this side will win. And they jumped onto that side, which is what I'm thinking happened here.
Okay, Soham says he has a genuine question. I'd like to hear that question. You can go ahead whenever you're ready. Hmm? Um, whenever you're ready,
What's the
Soham.
question?
He hasn't typed it yet. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So while he's constructing his question, I'll continue to read. Right. So we're at verse 11. It says, "And Gideon went up by the way." All right. And Gideon went up by the way of them that dwelt in tents on the east of Nobah and Jogbeha, and smote the host, for the host was secure. And when Zebah and Zalmunna fled, he pursued after them and took the two kings of Midian, Zebah and Zalmunna, and discomfited all the host. And Gideon, the son of Joash, returned from battle before the sun was up, and caught a young man of the men of Succoth, and inquired of him. And he described unto him the princes of Succoth and the elders thereof, even 70 men. And he came unto the men of Succoth and said, Behold, Zebah and Zalmunna, with whom ye did upbraid me, saying, Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna now in thine hand, that we should give bread unto thy men that are weary? And he took the elders of the city and thorns of the wilderness and bears, and with them he taught the men of Succoth. So he beat them with thorns. And
Well,
he
he did say that's exactly what he would do.
that's what
So
he did.
he's true to his word. I can say that much.
All right. And he beat down the tower of Peniel and slew the men of the city. Then said he unto Zebah and Zalmunna, What manner of men were they whom ye slew at Tabor? And they says, this part I found very interesting. And they said, As thou art, so were they. Each one resembled the children of a
Okay. So they resembled Gideon.
no. He's not saying that they resemble Gideon. He's saying Gideon and them shared similarities. They
Oh,
all resemble children of kings. That's what he's saying.
okay.
All right. And he said, They were my brethren, even the sons of my mother, as the Lord liveth. If ye had saved them alive, I would not slay you.
So they were
And he said,
actually related. This is what I'm saying.
No. Gideon, Gideon asked them about the Israelites that they had slain
Mm-hmm.
previously. So Gideon asked the two kings, Zebah and Zalmunna, about the Israelites that they had slain.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked them what did they look like. And so Zebah and Zalmunna responded that the people that they had slain, resembled kings, right? Resembled the children of kings, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they were related in that they were all descended from Jacob, from Abraham, right? So that's why he says that they were my brethren, even the sons of my mother. That's what he meant, right? So, and he said unto Jether his firstborn, Up and slay them. But the youth drew not his sword, for he feared because he was yet a youth. Then Zebah and Zalmunna said, Rise thou and fall upon us, for as the man is, so is
What
his
is his
strength.
strength?
And Gideon arose and slew Zebah and Zalmunna, and took away the ornaments that were on their camels' necks. Right? Abraham says, If I see you, I'm going to get distracted. All right. And I'm still waiting on Soham's question. Um, okay, so this is the part that I mentioned earlier. So when we started, right, I mentioned that um, I mentioned that
Jerubbaal, the name?
no, we're not gonna not Jerubbaal yet. I mentioned that God was going to show Gideon was going to answer Gideon's question through example. So Gideon asked God a question: why the Midianites are overlords over us? Why? Where is this God that saved our fathers? You know what happened to him? We've heard about him, but we can't feel his presence. Why are you punishing us? Why are you persecuting us? We are good people. We don't deserve it, right? And so this is God answering Gideon's question. He uses Gideon to overcome the Midianites completely, right? And then this is Gideon's answer immediately after that. Listen to this. So we're at Judges 8, verse 22. The men of Israel said unto Gideon, rule thou over us, both thou and thy son, and thy son's son, for thou hast delivered us from the hand of Midian. And Gideon said unto them, I will not rule over you, neither shall my son rule over you. The
The
Lord
Lord
shall rule
shall
over
rule
you.
over you.
And Gideon
Mm.
said unto them, I would desire a request of you, that you would give me every man the earrings of his prey, for they had golden earrings, because they were Ishmaelites.
Right.
And they answered, we will willingly give them. And they spread a garment, and they cast here therein every man the earrings of his prey. And the weight of the golden earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold, beside ornaments and colors and purple raiment that was on the kings of Midian, and beside the chains that were about their camels' neck. And Gideon made an ephod thereof and put it in his city, even in Ophrah, and all Israel went thither, a whoring after it, which thing became a snare unto Gideon and to his house. Right?
This reminds me of, again, Judges is a cyclical book, but this part of the story reminds me of Aaron, and when Moses went to collect the Ten Commandments, and the people were like, make us a golden calf so that we can worship it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm just thinking to myself, wouldn't Gideon have known about that story? And I'm thinking he would have. But still, for some reason, even though we know to do the right thing, we always do the wrong thing.
Right. So, and you're exactly correct, right? God revealed himself to Gideon. He showed himself as a God who is not just merciful, but a God who is willing to forgive and empower,
Mm-hmm.
and helped Gideon to subdue his enemies. And in response, Gideon made the first thing that Gideon did right after that was to make an ephod. You know what the ephod signifies? The ephod was only the high priest has an ephod. Gideon wasn't a Levi, so he could never be a high priest. He was not a descendant of Aaron, so he could never be a high priest, right? So he became a high priest to the people and went right back into idolatry from whence he was plucked, having been delivered by God.
But this kind of brings out something for me too, right? And you
Mm-hmm,
can probably tell me if I'm on the right track. So
mm-hmm,
Gideon did the right thing by saying, you should only serve God,
mm-hmm.
right? Let's agree that he did the right thing there. But just right after, he went on to make the what? The golden, what's it called? The Ophrah?
Ephod,
Ephod. The
ephod.
golden ephod. So
Hi, blessed Malinga. I'm not hearing you, Zadie. Are you still there, Zadie? Okay, yes, you're
okay,
back.
I'm back. Oh my, this thing keeps on kicking me out.
All right.
So
Yes.
this kind of shows me that sometimes we might do the right thing, but we can also do the wrong thing as well. But God will not accept the mixture of both. So if God tells us to do something a particular way, we need to stick to it. Because right here, Gideon did the right thing, but he also did something that was wrong. And God didn't accept that.
But you know what? Even though Gideon um, Gideon went back into idolatry, it says here in Judges 8, verse 28, thus Midian subdued before the children of Israel, so that they lifted up their heads no more. And the
There was
children and the country was
peace
in quietness
for
40 years
40 years.
in the days of Gideon. So while Gideon was alive, the country um,
They had peace.
country had peace,
Yeah.
right? And then the last few verses, last what is it, 6 verses talk about the death of Gideon. So it says, so it goes back now. Here is where um, hi body piercings. We're doing fine.
Hi.
Exactly, Donald.
He knows, but he did not experience the what to do in asking God what he wanted him to do. Right.
Exactly, right. So let's look at the last few verses. So exactly right after that, it goes back to calling him Jerubbaal, right? And this is the first time since he got the name that he's been called Jerubbaal. All while he was serving God, he was referred to as Gideon.
Mm-hmm.
All while he was serving God, he was referred to as Gideon. But now that he's back in idolatry, the
Jerubbaal.
Bible refers to him as Jerubbaal, right? And it says, and Jerubbaal, the son of Joash, went and dwelt in his own house. And Gideon had 60 sons of his body begotten, for he had many wives. So that's what, 70 sons?
That's a lot. That's a lot of kids.
Donald is asking what the name means. When we finish reading, we're going to go over what the name means, right? And right, and his concubine that was in Shechem, she also bare him a son, whose name was called Abimelech. And Gideon the son of Joash died in a good old age and was buried in the sepulchre of Joash his father in Ophrah of the Abiezrites. And it came to pass as soon as Gideon was dead, that the children of Israel turned again and went a whoring after Baalim, and made Baal-berith their god. And the children of Israel remembered not the Lord their God, who had delivered them out of the hands of all their enemies on every side. Neither showed they kindness to the house of Jerubbaal, namely Gideon, according to all the goodness which he had showed unto Israel.
Try not to judge, you know. Man, try not to judge, but
Right. So Donald, I'm going to answer your question now, Donald. So um,
God contends.
yeah, it means God
Not,
content.
it
And
means Baal. Let Baal contend with.
yeah,
Sorry.
right. Sorry, let me continue. And it was given to him by his father after he broke down the idol, the altar of Baal and the grove of Baal that was in his father's um, land, right? And so his father set a judgment against him and said, because the men of the city wanted to kill him, so his father set a judgment against him, basically saying that if Baal is God, let Baal carry out the judgment. Let Baal kill him, right? And so that's basically what spared his life. So because of that, the father changed his name from Gideon to
To
Jerubbaal,
Jerubbaal.
right, as a sign that there is a judgment against him, and if Baal is God and if Baal wants to kill him, then Baal
Let
should
him
carry out the judgment,
right.
right? So that was the meaning of the name Jerubbaal, right? Um, so we find that while he was serving God, he was referred to as Gideon, right? But as soon as he moved away from God again, um, his name was switched back to Jerub.
Jerubbaal. I mean, and Judges 8 ends with the children of Israel not remembering God again. It's as I say, I'm trying not to judge them, but you think to yourself, do they not learn? But what's going to happen in the next chapter is, well, we see where Gideon is going to die. And if the children of Israel has forgotten God, calamity is going to take them again. And usually what happens, they cry out to God, and then God is not heartless. So he's going to hear them, and he's
Mhm.
going to raise up another judge to deliver them.
Right. Is Abraham still here? We're gonna do that Ethiopian eunuch for you. That's what we're doing next. Alright.
He
But
asks about that.
yeah, he wanted us to do Cain and Abel. But you're welcome, Donald. You're welcome, Donald. And that's the purpose of these Bible studies, to give enlightenment. We're seeking the word, especially now. I think that it is very important that we have a proper understanding of God's word, right?
That's so
That
right,
is so
body
true.
person. Like,
Yes,
yeah.
He's so patient, you know.
Mm.
And as you read Judges, you realize just how patient He is. Time after time after time, He forgives Israel, and like you'll see that they'll be they'll go through some calamity, and God will deliver them, and then right after that, they go back into idolatry, and God is like, it's.
Back. I dropped off when you said time after time after time.
Yeah, I'm reading this Zaim
Thanks for the
comments.
myth, the other. Okay. I don't know what that means, but okay.
All right, but it was really good having you guys. It was really good being on here. We did keep it about an hour this time, with technical difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is our aim, body persons. We have an aim to read through the whole Old Testament, and we hope that you will join us
Join us.
on the
Yeah.
journey. So do please like, share, subscribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
When are we coming back again, Odin?
so
And what are we doing next?
we should be able um, to be back here next week, um,
Friday or Saturday?
Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. So we should be here next week, Friday
Friday night.
at about 7:30. Um, that might be your comment, Sadie. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
my persons.
All right. And what will we be doing next? Are we finishing judges or somebody asked to do something?
All right, so um we're gonna be doing Judges chapter 9,
Okay.
Judges chapter 10, and Judges chapter. Let's do Judges chapter 9 and 10 because Judges chapter 11 is very long, right? And Jephthah is actually a very interesting story because um, there's some object lessons in there that I want to bring out. So we're going to be doing Judges chapter 9 and 10, and then we'll move on accordingly.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And we hope to see you next week again.
All right.
Friday night, though, not Saturday, Friday night. So if you
Yes.
want to join us, then just subscribe. And when we go live, you'll get a notification.
All right. Oh, make sure to click the notification bell.
All right, what he said.
All right. All right. I think that question is for you, Zadie.
What question?
Cause has a question.
What's the
Cause.
question? Cause 925.
All right.
Oh, thank you. I think that's for me. I don't think it's for you, Odin.
Pretty sure it's for you.
Okay, thank you. I'm
Yeah,
still waiting on Cozy's question, but okay, all right, no problem.
I
All right,
guess
see you guys next week.
I guess somebody said what he wanted to say.
Thank you guys. All right, join us next week, all right?
Bye
Take
bye.
care. How do you end this?